Okay, we're back here.
Okay, so let's scroll down to the about section. And this also, has a nice format to it with little headers and these diamonds. If you want to put diamonds and I think the first arrow is just like a dash and I don't think that's a Unicode symbol in itself, but those diamonds, those are a Unicode symbol. So if you want to put cool things like this, or you want to put even fancier things like this, you've got to go to Unicode symbols and copy and paste them. Bolding, like if something is bold in Microsoft Word, it's not going to be bold when you copy and paste it into LinkedIn. Yeah, so here's some
Cool
symbols that you can use. You can get emojis. So you can get creative. It depends on your field, what you like or is too much or appropriate for you. So you got to determine that. But this diamond was copied and pasted from somewhere, either Unicode, or if you like it, you can copy and paste from someone else's profile and that'll work as well. That's the easiest for some people to do. Ooh, I really like that. Oh, copy and paste it into my own profile. But that's how you get these things. If you want any bolded text, you have to use a text converter. There's one called Yay Text, and there are other ones that will convert your regular text into basically HTML, and you can get bold or in italics and things like that. However, they will no longer be words for the purposes of search engine optimization. They will no longer be keywords for you. They will be images. So you can't do that with your most important keywords. Does that make sense?
Okay. For me, that's going to be a trial and error thing, Brenda. Good to know.
Yeah. So if you want something to stand out, you can capitalize it, but don't convert it into bold or italics or something like that. Even though it'll look pretty, you'll lose SEO. So you only want to do that. You only want to do it with things like, if you want to bold something like highlights, you could bold that, and highlights is not a keyword.
For example, like Cesar probably wouldn't want to bold diversity expertise because we want the algorithms to find that.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So this is, let's see, he's got some the featured section. I don't think Maureen used the featured section. So this is great. There's a section that I think it's been rolled out to pretty much everyone now. It was sort of rolled out in phases, but this featured section is something that anyone can put some videos or things that you want to just have there on your profile for people to see. And it can be kind of a little multimedia experience. So definitely recommend using that. Then when we look at Cesar's activity, I think his last activity was a while ago. Oh, it's a week, maybe a week. Okay, not too bad. Yeah, so Cesar, it's good. Seems like you're pretty active. And by the way, I realize I didn't mention this, but the reason to have 500 connections is that it helps people to find you. The more connected you are, the easier it is when someone does a search, you're going to come up in their search. If you have, 174 connections, you're not going to come up in people's searches because you're not first or second degree connections with enough people. So that's the reason that I'm pushing, that's one reason that I'm pushing, get your numbers up for the locatability side of things. There's also an issue, an advantage to having it, because if someone's going to hire you, then they want to know that you're well connected, because you never know what advantage might come from your having a large network. Maybe you'll find their next great employee, or maybe part of your job is that you are going to be interacting with people, and they see, if you have 100 connections, it doesn't really prove that you're good at interacting with people or that you're going to build relationships, right? So, and relationships important. You've probably talked about this on other on other calls, right? Relationship is hugely important for every job now.
Totally. I want to say a little more about this piece because like, I would go to events and things and get business cards, and I'm not that I'm not that organized. So I love LinkedIn, and anytime I go to an event, I will circle back with the people who I talk to. I'll get their business cards, but the first thing I do is I find them on LinkedIn and I say, great meeting you at that event, connecting with you here on LinkedIn as well. The chances that I'll actually reconnect with that person go up like 100% then. Whereas if I just had like a stack of business cards sitting somewhere, it's just too bad. So that's I love LinkedIn for that, because anybody, and if I ever want to reach out to somebody from high school and they're on LinkedIn, and I just say, hey, connecting with you here on LinkedIn, it looks like you're doing well. Like it's great. It's just so easy. So I wanted to underline that. And yes, part of what is so important in your career is your network. You may have heard your net worth is your network. And when you're out shopping your resume around, a lot of times you want to be connecting with people who are in the companies that you're interested in, rather than just trying to get your resume to them, because a lot of resumes don't get looked at. Now, Brenda can help your resume get looked at. She can help you with that, but just wanting to name overall more satisfaction through networking. And if you don't like the word networking, I don't know, say socializing or something. Sorry,
And
okay, I'm done with my rant. I'll pass it.
Although that was great. And one of the things you you mentioned is there's a little of that aliveness piece on LinkedIn that you talked about, which is, finding the people who work at the companies where you want to work. This is another little thing. So on Maureen's, we saw at the bottom, she was part of a lot of groups. I didn't pay a lot of attention to what groups those were, but you can also see what companies someone is following. Let's see, what do we have for groups all the way at the bottom?
That all the way, oh, down here. Okay.
Yeah, the interest. Yeah, it looks like, Maureen, you're following some companies. Maybe those are companies. And if you click on the top tab, you can see companies. Yeah. So a lot of companies. So this is great. And I imagine that some of these are companies that you are interested in working for. One thing that you can do, that all of you can do, is follow the companies that you're interested in working for and actually interact with their company pages. That's a huge part of the aliveness piece. Most people do not do that. And a lot of companies do post news and interesting articles about what they're up to. So if you can follow that for a company and you start interacting, then you're going to get a little bit of attention. You could be noticed for doing that.
Brenda, I'm so glad you just said that. I did not know that. I did not know that. That's and Maureen, I think you are the winner for following companies.
Yeah, there's a lot of companies. And where it says follow on the right, this is if George wanted to follow, because he's logged into his own profile, then he could follow one of those companies.
Oh, I do.
There we go.
I'm gonna start following some of these companies I want to follow. All right.
All right.
Jane, you and I will get back to that later.
Okay. So back
to any more that we want to look at in Cesar's?
Oh, I wanted to comment on one thing. You see how there are these logos showing up next to,
I like that.
Yeah. So people often ask me, how do I get logos to show up? Well, the answer is the only way to get logos to show up is to type in the name of a company that has a LinkedIn company page with a logo associated to it. So it's not something that you can do. And if the company doesn't have a LinkedIn page, you're not going to get a logo.
Okay.
But if you type in the name of the company with a typo, you're also not going to get the logo. So just make sure you look, because
So like life and health insurance producer license.
Right, there's no logo for that.
Okay.
But I think that was the Illinois Department of Insurance would have been the thing that would pull up a logo, but apparently, I don't know. I mean, maybe they probably just don't have a LinkedIn page.
Okay.
And all her other places seem to have a LinkedIn page. Now you may need to change to play around with different ways of writing something. Like if you went to UCLA and you type UCLA, you're not going to get the school. You have to type in University of California, comma, Los Angeles. So don't give up immediately. Do a little bit of trial and error until you might be completely convinced that this school or this company just doesn't have a LinkedIn page and you can't get the logo. But obviously a lot of places do have a LinkedIn page, especially now. I mean, the Erie Neighborhood House has one, right? That's not a huge organization. So definitely try to get those logos to pop up. Okay.
Cool. Well, Brenda, we are coming up on
Oh,
20
Cesar's
minutes
given
left.
48 recommendations. That is awesome.
Oh my gosh. Cesar, you are the winner with giving recommendations.
You win. And
that's awesome.
And they're recent, November 2021. So love that.
Beautiful.